spending time with her husband, friends, family, including her 12 grandchildren. In her spare time, she connects and celebrates with the women involved in motorsports, taking you behind the wall about their journey of life, racing, and how they juggle everything to make it all work. Welcome to Racing Girls Rock Podcast. Strap in, window nets up, the pedals are down, and when the green flag drops, we go.
Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with Racing Girls Rock Podcast. And my guest today is JoJo Wilkerson. If you haven't heard her name, then you must be hiding under a rock somewhere because she's great at social media. She's posted a lot about where she's racing. A lot of people are sharing about JoJo and what she's been up to. And so I wanted her to come on and be my guest and share a little bit with us about how she got interested in racing. So first, we're going to just ask her if she would please, JoJo, just share a little bit about yourself, your family, your pets, whatever you want to share, so that the listeners can get to know you a little bit better.
Yes, ma'am. So I drive pro late models in the Southeast and slowly making my way up to the ARCA world. But I go to Hueytown High School and I'm a senior. I'm on the varsity cheerleading team. I have 2 sisters and then a golden doodle that's 2 years old.
Okay, and what's your dog's name?
Her name's Sadie Joe.
Okay. A lot of race people who have dogs end up naming their dogs some kind of racing type name. So I always ask what the dogs' names are. So JoJo, you're having a great year and some success. Why don't you just share with us a little bit how you got started being involved in racing and what is it that keeps you involved? What do you love about racing?
So I grew up, I live in Hueytown, Alabama, and it's full of race whenever he was young. And I was just traveling with him and watching him. He finally let me in a go-kart, and we started traveling a lot. I started winning races and championships. So he thought it was time to move on. So we moved up to pro late models, and I started racing pro late models at age 12, and I'm 17 now. So I've been racing for a long time, and I just keep learning, and I love racing, and it's just something that I've always wanted to do.
Okay, so you started at 12, which is honestly a little bit late for some of these kids are starting at 5 years old, but you started at 12. So you've advanced and done a lot of things in that short amount of time. What's your favorite thing about racing?
Probably the people that you get to meet and what you get to do as a race car driver. So like signing autographs and meeting little kids that might want to race one day, or just knowing that you have fans supporting you, and that makes you want to give back to them and run good for them because they support you every weekend. So you got to give them something to support. So just mainly meeting all these fans and all these people at the racetrack for sure.
Yeah, that's probably the most common answer that I get when I ask anybody what's their favorite thing about racing. It's usually the people. So you're right in there with all the rest of us. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this year, where you've been racing, what kind of car you're racing, and what you've been up to this year?
Yes, ma'am. I went to a driver's combine for the BMR Drivers Academy in January. Just to test it out and see what it was about, and I really enjoyed it, and I felt like I learned a lot. So we found some sponsorship to let me be able to run the BMR Drivers Academy. So I've been running that every other weekend, flying from Alabama to California to race. And then I've been racing my late model at Pensacola, Montgomery, and Nashville. And then on my weekends, mainly just hang out with friends and family and just enjoy the time off. But mainly just racing every weekend. And then I had my ARCA West debut in Colorado last weekend.
Okay, and how did that go for you?
It went very well. We started 8th. We didn't get any practice or qualifying, so the positions went off of points. And so I started 8th, and I finished 8th. I felt like I learned a lot during the race, especially not being in that car before. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. There was a bunch of people there, a bunch of fans and stuff. I met a good bit of people, but it was very fun, and I just enjoy it so much. And I was very thankful to even have that opportunity to race that ARCA race, and hopefully there will be more.
So my next question is going to be, so what's your schedule look like the rest of the year? What will you be racing and where will you be?
We'll still be running the pro late model stuff all over the Southeast, and then I have a ARCA race in Las Vegas in September, and then October we have another ARCA West race in October at All American Speedway. So just racing every weekend and trying to get as much seat time as possible.
Okay, and so you're 17. Are you a senior in high school? Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going into my senior year.
Okay, and so with your school starting, I'm assuming school's going to be starting pretty soon. How are you able to juggle everything and do cheerleading? I know you're a cheerleader. Good for you. I was a cheerleading coach for 10 years, so I love seeing that. So I know you're in cheerleading, and your senior year of school is a busy year, and then the racing. How do you balance all that and keep it all going?
I'm not going to say it's easy. It's really hard, but I think with doing all of that, you have to have a good support system around you and to push you hard. I have a really good family that keeps me going and keeps my head up and keeps supporting me. So mainly just family and friends supporting you through all of it, pushing you hard to be the best that you can be, because I do live in Hueytown, and that's the home of the Alabama gang, so you have a bunch of pressure on you being the next race car driver from Hueytown, Alabama. But yeah, I just think having a good support system around you to be able to juggle everything. So
tell me,
okay.
what kind of legacy do you want to leave, and what do you want to say to other little girls that want to race?
Just that it doesn't matter if you're a girl or you're a boy. Racing is a male-dominated sport, and I feel like the females that we've got now in the racing world is kind of leading on to that it's not just a male-dominated sport, that we can race and we can last all of them laps, and just tell them that if they want to do it, just work hard at it, and anything is possible, especially if you pray about it. And yeah.
And you've got some good sponsors behind you. Why don't we talk a little bit about them? Because we know racing's expensive and you can't do it on your own. So do you want to share who your marketing partners are?
Yes, ma'am. Anthony with Instacoke Premium Products. He's been with me for the past 2 years now. And he's been sponsoring my late model stuff. But with this Drivers Academy opportunity that I had, we kind of got him out of the late model stuff, and we asked him if I could run the Drivers Academy. So he's been paying for that, and I'm very thankful for him. He paid for the ARCA race. Just so thankful to be able to have good sponsors, but to have a really good relationship with your sponsor as well. Like going on trips with them and stuff, that means a lot for a driver, because they are paying all this money for you, and you need to promote them well. And I feel like me and Anthony have a really good relationship doing that, and I feel like we work really hard together. So if it wasn't for him, none of this would be possible, and I'm just so very thankful for that.
Yeah, and I love hearing that he's found someone that he can support, that he believes in, girl or boy, it doesn't matter. But the fact that he's behind you and wants to see you progress. It says a lot about him and his thinking. I hear all the time, oh, it's so hard to find marketing partners and that, but you have to be willing to give back to them. And it sounds to me like you've made that relationship strong between you and him. And that's really what keeps him sponsoring you. You have good nights and bad nights at the racetrack. Sometimes that's out of our control. But the fact that he's sticking with you and promoting you and helping you grow in your career, we got to say, kudos to him, because a lot of people out there don't understand the impact that him sponsoring you has had. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because sometimes people think that just putting their name on your car and driving around the track is enough, but that's really not enough, is it? How have you built that relationship?
I think just being yourself and be open and honest with your sponsors and let them know what you're feeling and how you feel about the car and how your weekend went, and just keep talking to them almost every single day, 2 or 3 times a week. Tell them actually what you want to be doing with your life and with what you want to do with racing. And I feel like I've done that with Anthony, and he understands the racing side of it, and he just wants to see me do well. So I think just being open and honest with your sponsors help more than anything.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that you're in contact with him all year round, because, again, too many times I hear stories of race car drivers who wait till spring and then they go back to their sponsor and they've really done nothing to garner that relationship and make it stronger. And so you're a good example. Even at your young age, you get it. You get the part that the relationship is really the thing that's important. So I love that. So is your dad driving you today?
No, my sister.
Oh, your sister. Hi, sister. So your dad's the one that's really involved in the motorsports. Does he travel with you most of the time?
Not to California for the academy races. It gets very expensive trying to buy a flight or 2 flights every other week. Yeah. So I go up there by myself, but he's the head honcho of all of my late model stuff. So he comes but he definitely supports me through it all.
Yeah, I'm sure that he does. And I would guess your sister does too. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So when's your next race coming up? Where are you going to be next?
So I start school next week, but I think we'll be at Pensacola August 20th. Pro late model. Just trying to get ready for the next ARCA race.
Okay. All right. So if we get on the ARCA schedule, we can probably find where those races are. Or how can we follow you? Where's the best place to follow JoJo so we know where you're going to be and then your results so we can keep track of you?
My Facebook page, JoJo Wilkerson, driver number 11. We post updates on there and my schedule and where I'm going to be running at and how I finish. So Facebook would be the best.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So we'll put the Facebook link in the show notes so people can follow that. So is there anything else you'd like to share about yourself or your racing that we could learn more about you and how to follow you and how to cheer you on? What can we do to make JoJo more successful?
Just sharing my posts and commenting, and I love seeing all the sweet comments and people sharing my posts, because it really makes me want to do better every weekend and make me want to do better about my social media, because I know I have people following me and what I'm doing. So just the social media, even before a race, if I'm a little bit nervous and just kind of scared, I'll just go on social media and start reading comments and just check all my social media platforms.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because you do have a lot of people, I think, that are cheering for you behind the scenes that you don't even know them. And, you know, a lot of people are probably following you that you've never met, but they like seeing what you're doing, and they want to support a young gal who's got a passion for racing like you do. So I'm glad to hear that those posts are getting read and that they are encouraging to you. That's good to know. So JoJo,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. So any last thoughts that you might have? I know you're traveling, you've got a day off, you had cheerleading practice, and now you're going to go enjoy some time with your sister. So I'm not going to keep you too long, but what's anything else that you can think of that you'd like to share with us?
I can't really think of anything, but I really appreciate you and having me on your show and podcast. And I know it's been hard to get on here with me traveling and stuff. And I just want to thank you for being so patient with me and getting me on.
Oh, no problem. And, you know, I think when the season's over and you're not traveling in a car, I think we'll reschedule again and do a recap of how your year went and where you're headed for next year too. So we'll get that scheduled at a later point. But JoJo, thank you so much for coming on today, being on the podcast. I appreciate that. And I just want to wish you all the luck in your next races. I'll be following you. I'll be watching what you're doing. So just feel free to share anything about that, and I'll pass it on so that others can follow you as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Racing Girls Rock Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at International Women's Motorsports Association, or on Instagram and Twitter at the IWMA Nation. And if you know someone that should be on our show, drop us an email at iwmanation@gmail.com.